Oh. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Let's see who we have here. We have Kashan 17 from India. Hello, Kashan. Let me connect my better mic. And if you guys had a trouble with it, let me know so I can switch back to the laptop microphone. All right. Is this any better? Or is it the same? And Kevi Panda from Kevin26 Chicago. Oh, from the Windy City. I was in Chicago many years back, and I really enjoyed it. One of the things that they're very famous, I think, is their pizza. Their what is it pan pizza? I remember we went. There were three of us. We traveled from Portland. We drove from Portland to Chicago, where my friend's family were living. So I was going to stay with them. So we drove all the way without stop. So I was driving and they were sleeping, and then they were driving and I was still awake. and and then we went to this restaurant that they had brought the pizza without the bread. It was just the toppings in the pot. It's quite interesting, delicious actually. Very busy restaurant too. And there was an area that you would walk. So many people, very packed, and different bars and different clubs and different discos, and just go in one and come out of the other and just keep going. So many people packed in that area. I don't know what the name of it was. And I had a beautiful experience of one night at a different time, years later, when I went there for business this time. And I came out of my hotel and just walking around and I saw this little kind of a restaurant, bar, or cafe or something down in stairs going down to some kind of a underground thing. So I went there and it was a bar lounge with musicians, jazz music. It was excellent, extraordinary experience for me because I'd only seen these sort of scenes of a lounge with, cafe type of drinks or coffee and things. And then there were musicians and playing traditional, authentic jazz. It was quite interesting. So Chicago. And of course, I also visited my friend's family's warehouse. They were in the business of supplying little prizes, like when you go to a convention, not convention, a exhibition for, the rides and games and things. And when you win something, those little gifts or little prizes all around the United States, they were supplying it. So it was a big warehouse. And the warehouse used to belong to Al Capone. So it was quite an experience. They showed me actually one part that it was blocked now, but before it was open, it was running under the city for bootlegging and selling and uh, transiting alcohol and so on at like God knows how many years ago. But then, of course, the warehouse was, I guess, confiscated by the government and eventually was sold. And then they had bought one of those. It was quite historical. Um, so then we have Aman Gatpal from 20 Mail India, from India. Thank you for that. Aman says, my HOCD update due to incest intrusive thoughts towards an aunt, my thoughts shifted and my femboyish behavior and fake attraction gone. I realize now it's based on focus, but my libido still dead. That's just you're distracted from it. Otherwise, it's not dead. It's just there. Just be patient. Live your life. It will show itself, and you'll be surprised that it's always been there. It hasn't gone anywhere. Kashan says, "Hello, my name is Taha, age 17, from India, and hello, Taha. I hope you have discussed this with your parents because you're 17, so I want them to know that you're here on my channel." And Kevi Panda says, deep dish. Oh, yeah. Is that what it's called? Deep dish? The pizza thingy? Thank you for that. And Aman says, I'm suffering from intrusive thoughts towards aunt. I'm feeling suffocated. Why? It's an aunt. Enjoy it. You don't have to act on it, but just enjoy the thought that it's a thought. It's okay. It's not appropriate. And then you treat it as what it is, not an appropriate thoughts. But don't kill yourself over it because you're not responsible for it. It's not like your intention to want to do anything or bring any kind of inappropriate behavior toward your aunt. It's a thought. And that's not your responsibility. It's a brain responsibility. So let it do. Doesn't matter. As I explained to you, don't you listen to anything I say here. I just explained in one recent upload, which was basically, let me see, what was the title of it, which I explained about what to do when intrusive thoughts show up. It's about 3 minutes, less than that. And it talks about how you should look at thoughts and how you should look at yourself. You're the ocean, thoughts are the ships that travel on the ocean. Now, that's all. That's all they do. They travel. Ocean is a pathway for these ships to travel on the ocean. But what the ship carries, or the presence or the visibility of ship, just because it's now on the ocean, does not change the ocean. It's irrelevant to the ocean. It's just a pathway for the ships to travel. That's all. Same thing. You are the ocean and the thoughts are the ships. What content of the thought is irrelevant to you. Is irrelevant to the ocean, the content of what the ship has. It's not going to change you, the content of the thought, to anything. It's not going to make you do anything. It's just you are where thoughts can simply become visible on the screen of your head. That's all. But it's not going to have an effect on you. It doesn't have a message for you. It doesn't change you. It doesn't make you do anything. You are the boss. You're the master. You're the ocean. You just let them pass by, and that's it. Don't grab onto them and try to inspect them, try to interpret them, try to see if there's a meaning. What they're carrying doesn't matter. Whatever they're carrying, let them go. Just come and go. That's what their thoughts are, like ships on the ocean. Let them pass through. Don't have to investigate them, and they don't mean anything to you. So that's what you should be focusing on. Unfortunately, you guys keep coming back on new scenarios rather than understanding all these scenarios. Their answer and the way you treat them is just the way I explained and explained in many other videos. Kashan says, what to do when we get attracted towards a girl from last year's? Whenever I see her, my heart starts trembling. What's wrong with that? It's beautiful. Enjoy it. That's what we are. We are men. And if you're heterosexual, you're programmed to tremble when you see a woman because you're programmed for procreation. You're programmed to protect them, to love them, to cherish them, to take care of them. That's how we are. And when we see them, we're very visual. We don't go further to see what kind of quality she is, what kind of mentality she has, what does she offer, what does she do for my life. None of that comes to our mind. All it is, she's beautiful, she's got nice legs or nice face or nice hair or nice whatever personality, outgoing personality, or whatever else it's nice about her physical appearance. That is enough to make us all, focused on her, rather than focusing if she actually has any real non-physical qualities, which is really what makes or break a relationship. So that's what you are. You see a beautiful girl, or you remember some girl that you used to know, you tremble. So what? But you have to stop it. Enjoy it. Don't worry about it. But understand that it doesn't exist. It's a good memory and you enjoy it, and then that's it. You don't have to desire what you remember. You just have to enjoy the memory and let it go. Just, oh, I remember it. Oh, it's so beautiful. I got to have it. I desire it. Then that desire makes you feel not focused in your daily affairs. Instead, you'll be stuck with pursuing to bring that feeling of desire to actuality. And that's going to waste your time because that's just a memory. It doesn't exist. So limit it to that and you'll be fine. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the voice quality okay? Sound quality okay? It's a new discovery of mine, this tea. It's roasted dandelion root. Who would have thought? It's actually a cross between coffee and tea. It has a little roasted taste and smell, a little bit heavy. It's got a body. At the same time, it's got no caffeine and no stimulation through caffeine. So it's more of a tea. But it has to grow on you. The first couple of them, you may not like it. A little bit too heavy, a little bitter. But then you kind of feel like, wow. And it's got lots of good qualities, properties for the cardiovascular system, for heart, and for other parts of the body. It's actually an amazing plant that grows naturally and wildly in anyone's backyard, which you should take advantage of it. And of course, do your own research. But you apparently you can take the roots and clean it up and eat it. But do your own research to make sure what I'm saying is correct. We have Atif here. Says, hey, Mehran, 38, male, New York City. Thank you for that, Atif. Says, I'm going on a date tomorrow. Aha. And forgot what I need to do. Nothing. Just be a gentleman. Don't be there to entertain her. But if something funny comes up, say it and enjoy it. But don't try to have an agenda that I'm going to accomplish something, which means I'm going with the expectation of kissing her or getting I don't know, whatever, next date. Just go there and talk about things that could be interesting to you or interesting to her or both of you, and then modify the discussion based on what are interesting, what are not interesting, and listen more than talking to what she's talking about. People like to be heard, so you can be a good host. Let her express herself about whatever she wants to express herself, and just listen with interest, and then make comment. Don't try to fix anything or repair anything if she's upset at something or comes up with the topic. Just listen, and if anything, say, if there's anything you can think I can do, let me know. But don't offer any solution, because women like to talk and explain or express themselves. But men think that every time a woman talks, they got to come up with a solution and fix something. That's not necessarily all the time is what the woman expects. They just want somebody to hear them and to hear them say what they want to say and sympathize with her. That's all. So you go there with no agenda. You go there to give her a good time. You go there to be a gentleman, to make her comfortable, feel safe, be a little funny if there's something funny, but don't feel pressured that you got to entertain her. Let her talk. Don't feel pressured that you need to make sure she has a great time. No, just you be as good as you can be, and you know, take her to a nice place, and I don't know, you guys gonna go for dinner or something, and don't be overly approaching her or making sure she likes you, and don't be so reserved and expecting her to kind of, I don't know, approach you. Just be normal and ask her what she wants to do. If you don't have a plan, if you do have a plan, well, then make a decision. If she says, I don't know what you want to do, then make a decision. Don't keep saying, no, I don't know what you want to do. Offer that once. If she has an opinion about what you guys want to do, fine. If not, you should already have had some plans for that evening. We're going to go to, I don't know, to this place, then we're going to go to that place, or we're going to go to a dinner, or we're going to go to a movie, or whatever it is that you think she's interested in. You have to have maybe arranged it, but then ask her, so what do you feel like doing? Or what kind of food you like? If she says, I don't know, whatever, then don't ask anymore. Make a decision on what you already have made a decision as a plan B. If she doesn't have an opinion, then go there. And then that's it. Take her home and don't expect any special favors. Just be cool. Be a friend. That's it. I know. Bijoulou Bijoulou says, I lost feeling for my girlfriend. What did this, why did this happen? There is nothing wrong with her. Nothing has happened. You simply have gained attention of someone that you wanted her attention. Now, not having enough confidence in yourself, you think whoever pays attention to you then might not be good enough, because why is she paying attention to? Why is she accepting my invitation if I ask her, let's go have tea? And she says, okay. You say, oh, what did she say? Okay, maybe she's not that hot. It's just about your perception about yourself that makes her seem like you have lost your interest. You haven't lost the interest. Is that she seems to be attainable, and you are somehow used to think whatever you can attain must not be good enough, because you don't seem to respect and value yourself. So you got to love yourself, believe in yourself, respect yourself, respect your choices, and whatever you choose, you consider it the best, as long as it lasts. If it doesn't, then you go for the next best. So this is nothing that has to do with her. It has to do with your perception of her. And simply, most of the time, is because you have gained what you really wanted. And whatever you gain, you seem to think it's not good enough because you were able to attain it. That means lack of confidence in yourself, not anything wrong with her. That's what comes to mind for now. And Kevi Panda says, going through a breakup currently, mostly here for the inevitable wisdom you drop. Okay. Thank you for that. And Brithu Barua says, hello, Meran, male 32, India. Hello, Barua or Brithu. Brithu says, I showed your video to one of my friends, female. She said you are old, but still very handsome and attractive. Meran is still kicking. Oh, you better believe it. I am handsome and attractive. And tell her, old is yourself. No, I'm not going to believe that because I already know I'm old, but I'm not going to believe it when I hear it because in my heart, I'm still thinking I'm 25-year-old. like a rooster who's been cut in the neck, but is running around thinking that it still has a neck, has a head. But appreciate her for her comment and thank her for me. And it's a beautiful compliment. And tell her that I love you too and thank you very much. Lucide says 30 male Australia. Oh, hello, Australian brother or sister. I don't know what Lucide is, a man or a woman. Says, oh, there it is, male. Okay, then brother then. So I feel for you guys what you're going through. And if Canadians don't show enough guts and balls, we're going to end up being treated like the way you guys are being treated with your government. And so we are standing with you guys. And I hope that things will resolve itself through your legal means, and you guys win your country back, as we hope to win our country back from the tyrannic system that seems to be advancing. All right, we have and Lucide says, Marin, I hope all is well. Thank you, dear. Says, I just want to say there's many people who doesn't want to tell the truth in terms of reality, in fear of hurting others. Okay. It's nice to hear you being frank with us. Ah, okay. My pleasure. My pleasure. Lucky Dude says, sir, I now suffer from TOCD. I'm suddenly afraid of this. When a thought like this pops up, how do I deal with it? Male 17 from southern India. Dear Lucky Dude, I have explained this in detail that whatever shows up in your head, it's not your doing. It's not your responsibility. I have two elaborate playlists on this channel. One is called Intrusive Thoughts, Transient Thoughts, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts. In that playlist, you will find videos that mostly is focusing on interpretation of thoughts as it appears in your head in regards to these topics, OCD and HOCD and so on. And it shows the association of the words and associations that the brain makes in nanoseconds about something, which leads to something else. And then you mistakenly interpret it as if you have any other inclination because of the association that the thought has made, and interpretation of it. It misleads you to think that it's anything other than what it is, association of words and thoughts, nothing else, and it's not of your concern. Now, the other playlist is called Intrusive OCD, HOCD short videos. Most of them are not short, but this one, the videos in this playlist discuss and proves to you, and I've proven it through philosophical discussions and scientific research based on Nobel Prize type of research of Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, and Dr. Leibet in one of my longer videos, which shows and proves, not just philosophically, but also scientifically, the separation between brain and you. That is not one and the same. The problem is that you guys have been duped to think that the brain is you and you're the brain, and that you follow the brain and that the brain is the intellect. Brain is not your intellect. Brain is very stupid. Brain is just a mechanical machine that its job is to make thoughts. And these thoughts are based on whatever in the world information has seeped through your consciousness through the mediums and papers and advertisements and television programs and whatever has been kind of lifestyle that is out there that you have become aware of it. All that information seeps through the consciousness, and the brain makes thoughts out of whatever else has gone through the consciousness through any kind of medium or news or however it got to get in there. But it is not relevant to you. That is not you. It's the brain, and its job is to make thoughts. And if you understand the thought that is made by the brain is different than the thoughts that you have used the apparatus of the brain to make it in order to advance and accomplish something that you set out to accomplish on that day. Whether it's calculating something, designing something, learning something, these are all what you can do when you use the apparatus of the brain. But the brain itself also uses its apparatus to make thoughts. Those thoughts have nothing to do with you. But the problem is that you think whatever shows up in the head in the form of thought is you and it's defining you. It's not. And that particular playlist talks about these sort of things. And it has proven it through philosophical discussions by at Aristotle time about dualism and the materialists and the separation between the two and the differences in the modern science have been proven by the video that was gathered by the research of Dr. Ignar, based on, as I mentioned, Dr. Speary, Penfield, Owen, and Libet, which I've made a video for you guys that I really encourage you guys to watch it. And this is the link for it. This is the link for it. There it is. This is a longer video, but if you guys want to really learn about what it is that is bamboozling you, then you got to watch these videos and ponder on them. Otherwise, if you continuously think that what shows up in the screen of your head is suggestion, thought, idea, images, they describe you or they define you or they have a mandate or they are you, then you're fucked. Very philosophically and scientifically put, you're fucked. So you need to understand the relationship between you and the brain and understand that these are separate systems. And what the thought shows up, it's irrelevant to you. It's your values are in your gatekeeper, in your superconsciousness, in your wise advocate. It's not about what thought shows up. Those are not your values. So you judge the thought based on the values that you have, and you're protecting it as a sacred thing in what Dr. Philipson calls it gatekeeper, and Dr. Schwartz called it wise advocate, and I call it superconsciousness. Either way, your values are based on your inclinations, lifestyle, preferences, and choices, not based on what thought shows up today or the next day based on whatever the brain is up to. So, if you understand all these things, then you can sort these out no matter what kind of thought shows up. Today is this kind, tomorrow is the other kind of intrusive thoughts, and so on and so forth. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. Therefore, relax and treat the thoughts as what they are. Thoughts, ships on the ocean. And the ships traveling on the ocean do not change the ocean. They just have the ability to travel on it and the chance to be visible. But when you ignore them, they just pass by. And that's how we deal with intrusive thoughts. So we now have Geetha. That's a beautiful Indian name. Geetha is also the name of a goddess, yeah? It's also a name for girls. And also in Persian, they use Gita. Says, hi, I'm from India. I have OCD from April month. At first, I was afraid of my thoughts, but now I don't know whether I like that same thought. I am so confused. Please help me, sir. I just did answer you before you asked the question. What I just finished talking about is exactly what you want to hear about the playlists that you can watch and about how to treat thoughts and what they are and so on. And let me know your age and where your age and gender. Everyone, please remember what I've requested up there. Please let me know your age, gender, and which city or country you're watching or you're participating in this live stream. And Lucky Dude says, sir, what is your opinion of the new Omicron virus? I have no opinion. I don't even know what it is. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, a psychotherapist. My research is based on research in philosophical points of views from masters of hundreds of years ago. The books I've written is based on my research on these topics. And I used in research in neuroscience and the masters in that field to learn and to be able to use them in order to illustrate and help you to notice and learn something about yourselves and so on. Otherwise, if you have any medical questions, you got to approach your doctor or psychologist, psychotherapist, and so on. Just making sure there's no misunderstanding here. Lucid said, I'm just curious about your point of view. Why do we crave for companionship? Do we really need a partner in life? When I see my friends with their partner, I feel like I'm missing someone. But I know that deep down in their relationship, there are problems. First of all, having problems is not a sin. Having problem is natural. No two things in this world is exactly the same, let alone two consciousnesses. The contents of the consciousness of each individual is conditioned and formed differently based on the environment and what they've experienced, been exposed to. And therefore, that shapes their behavior in most cases. And those two are never the same. So there would be conflicts and divisions between the two consciousnesses, since the conditioning of the content of the consciousness of each individual is different. Therefore, these differences results in divisions and conflicts. That is normal. If you expect to have a relationship with someone and have no separation, no difficulties, no challenges, no conflict, no discrepancies, no differences, that's unreasonable and unrealistic. So, that part of a relationship is to be expected. Unless you just have someone who just says, yes, sir, or no, sir, or yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, and there's no brain here. Many people think just because the other side disagrees with something, that means it's a reflection on their emotional state about them. No. You have to understand that you need to discuss and explore things together through conversation and research and so on. and without being vicious about simply disagreeing for the sake of disagreement, but through discussion, you bring enough logic and evidence for both of you look at the same situation from the same angle, same point of view, and then you will create harmony. But just because to say, I know more than you, and you disagree with everything the other side says, or the other side disagrees with everything you say, just to show that I'm also independent, I also know things, these are immaturity. This is not about uh, having a good partner in life. This is about trying to show the other one that I'm better than you. And that will cause a bigger problem than just being different in opinion. So, now in regards to do you have to what is it that you want companionship? Why do we crave companionship? Well, because we are initially programmed for procreation. We like to have intimacy. And unless you have a partner, hardly at this age and system, anybody would like to have a continuous, uh, intimate relationship. So you tend to find a partner in order to get to that what you're programmed to, which is procreation, which is intimacy, sex. Just imagine, pretty much everything we do is because we eventually hope to have intimacy. So when you walk out of your home and go toward your school or your work, every girl that you see, without really thinking, if you're heterosexual male or heterosexual woman, you will be thinking about mating, especially in male cases. Women select differently. It's not just about sex that they would be focused on when they see a male. It's about provision, security, and the way of life and lifestyle, and able to have a plan for the future, settling down and nesting. That's how they look at if this person is qualified. If they're interested in him, they will have these thoughts. But we men, as soon as we see someone who's got a beautiful face or beautiful hair and she's got nice body, and then we just feel that we're in love, which is of course not in love, but that is what we are following our program. So when you say why we crave, that craving is in our program. It's not like it's something that you pretty much choose it. It's in the program. It's part of you being alive. You gravitate toward whatever you want to accomplish, you want to offer it to a woman for getting that intimacy, that what you're designed to offer her, your seed, and then procreate, whether you want to have children or not, but you're geared for procreation. Now, some make a choice that no, I don't want to have children, but they still want to have sex. But the reason that they want to have sex in their genes, in their program, is for procreation. Now, these days, people don't necessarily have sex to procreate. They just want to have sex for pleasure. Again, desire, pleasure, all have this root of procreation. Uh, but anyhow, two different subjects. But anyhow, that's all I can say about it in this um, segment before it runs a little bit too long. I hope that answers your question. And yeah, you don't have to have a partner if you don't want to. But if you're not wanting to have a partner because you think it's a pain in the ass, that there are going to be lots of problems, well, that comes with the territory. You can't expect to have a relationship or a partner without differences. So if you disqualifying the idea of having a partner because it's going to be difficult, there are going to be differences, that's not a good way of disqualifying it. It's not a good judgment because that's part of any relationship. There's going to be differences. And but if you don't want to have, and you're happy with doing and accomplishing things in life, that's fine. But eventually, you want that intimacy, and maybe y- you say, I don't want to have a partner, but you still want to have the intimacy. So in this day and age, somehow it's understood that you want to have intimacy, you got to be in a relationship. As much as you want to get away with it, that's the price you're going to pay. So some of them turn out good, some of them turn out, oh yeah, I shouldn't be in this relationship. But the the motivating factor for wanting to have a partner or being in a relationship is intimacy, which stems from procreation, the program that you've received in your genes, and you want that. So it's pretty much not necessarily up for uh, uh, opinion or selection. It's part of being a human being. Also, there's a deeper discussion on this from the beginning of history. The topic of psychological security, which is almost never attainable, is one major reason that people want to be in relationship, because there are certain kind of threats and fears and anxieties when you're by yourself and pulling all responsibilities on your shoulder. And in order to have a little bit of a more of a effective power, you become part of a tribe or a village or a city or a society, and the cities become too big, become too impersonal. But then you go back in history, you see they used to gather around and team up in small groups. That was mostly because of physical and psychological security and provisions, and to be able to manage things and make life more comfortable and so on. But then as we grew and the advancement of the you know technologies and comfort and so on, you still feel a little bit more psychologically secure when you are in a relationship that works, when you have a partner. And that is another reason for wanting to be with your partner, because it makes you feel that you're a little bit closer to that unattainable state of psychological security. Anyhow, it's a long discussion on this, but I think we can stop from here. Stop it here. Mm, and Cap says, sir, can you have smaller HOCD attacks before the big one? It's HOCD is HOCD. Sometimes it's continuous 24/7. Sometimes it's less. Of course, why not? There's different levels. Yeah. Anonymous. Oh, you haven't been around for a long time, have you? Says, hi, Miran. I'm recovering from HOCD, but sometimes suddenly thoughts come and one more. I saw a man who had feminine features. I got anxiety and all sorts of things. Is it normal that that man named Miss Benny? Well, maybe it's normal for him, but it's not normal for you. But the problem with OCD people is that they project what is happening to somebody else, or what role or image or presentation somebody else chooses. They project that onto themselves as if the way that other person is an evidence that what they may be suffering and don't enjoy that image or thought could actually become actual, because they now saw something that is just like the thoughts that they may having roaming around their head, but somebody else is actually living it that way. And for you, it gives you anxiety thinking, oh, because that person has fallen into it or have accepted it or the way it is, it must then happen to me as well. That gives you anxiety because you take what you see as an evidence that is that possibility for that somebody else. It must be a sure thing for you as well. It's irrelevant. Somebody could like hamburger and the other person may not. Somebody may like shit sandwich and somebody may not. Somebody may like apple with worms in it, somebody may not. Somebody may like jello and the other one may not. But it doesn't mean just because somebody has chosen a certain kind of a journey or preference, that would mean that you will have the same kind of a preference or journey as well. It's just irrelevant. But OCD brain projects onto itself, himself or herself, what he or she may see others have chosen or somehow are um, represented by, which you should simply understand that's got nothing to do with you. Guys, I think my the camera is a little bit not clean. That's why it's a little bit foggy. Let me see if I can fix it. So sorry for this interruption. I'm just trying to clean this up. Yeah, I think that's better now. All right. So where were we? So simply, you focus on your own life and your vetoes and choices. Understand that you have the power of choice. You have the power of vetoes and choices. And your vetoes and choices, the brain is not involved. If you focus on the experiment that neuroscientist Dr. Liebet did, as which is part of that link that I put for you guys, you will come to understand, wow, there are aspects of you and the mind and your mind that the brain cannot reach. So brain is actually never above you. Brain is a subordinate to you. And you should not take what brain suggests or malfunctions that it does as any evidence of your modification or changes or being subordinate to the brain or brain suggestions. You're the master all the time. You live by your vetoes and choices, not by suggestions, ideas, images, or thoughts of the brain. Yes, Gita. Yes, Gita. That's right. Hmm. If you're 15 years old, I hope you have discussed this with your parents and have permission to be here. This is why I always ask you guys to disclose your age, gender, and where you're tuning in from at the first question that you ask and every subsequent comment or questions you ask, so I can see who you are, and then I would that would help me to know how to respond to you and at the same time how to address you, and knowing that age and where you come from, that gives me a little cultural background, and the age and of course the gender helps me to know how to properly formulate the responses according to um, what is most appropriate. He says, I'm not Geetha. My name is Adi. This account is my grandmother's account. Okay, there you go. Well, that's your fault, not mine. You put the screen name there. That's what I'm going to call you, unless you put your name. I got to call you with something. So until I know your name, now I do. Adi, I'll call you Geeta. Cap says, I'm 19 and a male from America. America is a big place. Where in America? Why are you guys so shy to letting me know enough information about where you are and how old, what your gender, so I can at least know something about you guys when I address you back? Says, this main thing that bugged me is for the last year, I've had smaller HOCD attacks before the big one, which scares me because it's usually sudden and not progressive. Nothing should scare you if you understand the separation between brain and brain's manufactured thoughts and you and the thoughts that you choose based on certain information you select from your consciousness and put it through um, use to your satisfaction in order to calculate something, figure out something, learn something, design something, accomplish something. Then if you understand the differences, then it doesn't matter what thought shows up. You just understand this is brain's thoughts and is irrelevant to me. And then you go on. The Nashizer says, okay, from now on, I'm not going to respond or even read the questions or comments if the age, gender, and where you're tuning in from is not included. So I'm sorry, Nashizir. I will go on to the next one because that information is important to me. I got to know who you are, at least a little bit. Age, gender, which culture, background, which city, country you come from. That will help me. Neil Landekumbura says, hello, hello. Anonymous says, yes. I don't know what that yes is for. Cap says, thank you. You're welcome. I don't know what for. Okay. Cap says, this is also, I'm 19 and male from America. Oh, yeah. Again, you said America. I don't know where America is. America is a big continent. Anonymous says, sorry, Meron, meant I saw man and he had feminine features and I got anxiety and thought I'm liking him. Yeah, okay. Well, you're programmed to like femininity. So even if I don't know, a dog or a horse comes to you in a feminine behavior, you may like it, but that doesn't describe your gender. It is not you who is going against what your natural inclination is the person who is actually not a woman, but acts as a woman, and you're programmed to pay attention to a feminine behavior. That feminine behavior could be by a cartoon or a animation or a real person. You respond to femininity, not to that person who happened to be male but behaving in feminine way. You're responding to the femininity, not who is being feminine. You're not responding to the who, responding to the characteristic, which is part of your gene to be attracted or pay attention to, respond to that character of femininity. No, it's the energy and its behavior, and that is what is totally different than the actual person who's acting it. Yeah, it's like kind of like if you watch a movie, maybe not a great example, but something to for you to kind of connect. If a person in a movie has a certain role as a comedian or as a um, person who has certain personality that is his role in that movie, you may react to that role, whether it's a policeman role or it's a nurse role, it's a doctor's role, or it's a murderer's role, it's a rapist role, it's a thief's role. You will react to that role, a character. But in reality, that person who's playing that part has got nothing to do with being a policeman or a doctor or a nurse or a murderer or a rapist or whatever else. But you're reacting to that behavior. And same thing. if a woman sees another woman who is acting like a male, well, the woman may react to that behavior that is male behavior but is being done by a woman. Or if a man is being attracted or has a, develops a certain feeling toward a male who is behaving as a feminine, as a woman, well, that femininity is what triggers this heterosexual's behavior or reaction, not the fact that who is representing that feminine behavior, because he or she is not so concerned about who, but what is being presented. Yeah. It's like you react to a food and its character and its presentation. You're not reacting to who the chef was. Was it man, woman, or whoever, how old, how young, doesn't matter. You're reacting to the outcome of the production of that chef, not the chef itself. And characters and behavior of a person is also separate reaction, brings a separate reaction than a reaction than one could have to the actual person who is instigating or presenting these behavior and reactions. So that's as much as I can get to it right now here. Yaha Bulayel, what? Have I butchered the name? Oh, Yahya. Yahya Bulayil. Okay. Says Salam Ismail. Ismail, listen carefully. Is your name Ismail? Because you're saying Salam. Oh, Salman Ismail. Listen carefully. Salman Ismail. Is that your name? And listen carefully, it means what? You want us to listen to you, or you are saying your name is Salman Ismail and you're listening carefully? I don't know what it means, but either way, you're welcome. uh, Anonymous says, I don't know what's wrong with my keyboard. Well, if you don't know it, I would know it either, Anonymous. And yes, Cap, yeah, that is what HOCD is. It makes you believe that feeling, because brain is very powerful and can make the body react. And if you focus on the role of amygdala and anxiety and so on and so forth, and go into the roots of the matters, you can see how it can manipulate the amygdala to make you feel certain way out of fear and anxiety, and how actually brain is so powerful to make certain part of the body react in certain way without having any actuality and truth to it. No different than this simple example that I've used before. If you just close your eyes and imagine you're in a vineyard in France, and um, all the and grapes are still green and not in season. They're hard, in hard skin, and they're green and sour when you put it in your mouth. God. And then you back it up with a lime to cut the line and squeeze it in your mouth, and all that sourness makes your mouth saliva to be created in your mouth. But there is no sour grape or lemon present. But the brain has the power to make your mouth react and create saliva by simply making you believe that there is such a thing. And then you react to that, because to the brain, actuality and virtuality, there's no difference between the two. So when it shows an idea and has power enough to make the body react to it, because it is giving the signal to the body that this is real. And the body got to accept it because the brain is saying it while the brain is malfunctioning in some other cases. But in this case, you are actually manipulating the brain to conduct itself as if there is lemon or lime or the sour grape, and then makes the body react to it accordingly. But just like this can be done, when the brain goes rogue, itself creates certain things and makes the body react. And then you're supposed to know the difference, that this is not your thought, this is brain, and this is the brain's doing. Therefore, it's not an actuality, it's a virtuality, and you let it go rather than being bamboozled by it. Cap says, sorry, I'm from Washington. Okay. Washington, D.C. or Washington State? Is it like Washington where Seattle is, or Washington where the capital is? Cap says, my replies are super delayed. Sorry. No, no worries. The Nashizer says, sorry, Meran, this is my first stream. I've been on, okay, 23 Australia. Thank you for that. Let's go back to Nashizer from Australia. Nashizer, I think lots of people got HOCD during the lockdown. That's true. And everyone is just watching lots of porn, thinking about sex all the time, and alone with their thoughts, not talking to anyone, and being social. Yeah, it actually has a lot to do with it. Because, as I mentioned before, security from time ago, long time ago, thousands and thousands and millions of years ago, security has been a very important part of our desire and our needs. But that security comes into two parts: physical security and psychological security, mental security. But our physical portion of our existent entity, because we are in at least two parts, mind and body, brain and body, physical and mental. Our physical security through the history has advanced, and we have been able to, in most part, secure that and bring about that physical security for most people in most safe places. For example, I'm sitting here. I know where my ears are, noses, eyes, and limbs. So physically, I know I'm here. I can feel secure, and I'm sitting in my apartment. The door is locked. I'm in good part of town. So physicality brings physical security for my physical portion of my entity. That's how my body feels physically safe. Security for my physical portion of my entity. But the brain doesn't find its security in the same way. Brain doesn't find security through physicality, through a physical, safe physical environment. Brain finds security via occupation. When the brain is busy doing things, figuring out things, learning things, creating things, going through a process of accomplishing something or learning something, that busyness, occupation, creates security for the brain. When you take away most of its abilities and the ability of a human being to explore and do things like, I don't know, play soccer, go to school, learn something, go to his job, be innovative, be entrepreneurial, and all these others, and continue socializing, which brings other activities, the brain would be doing something in those fields that I just mentioned, and it creates thoughts and process and occupation and busyness, which brings psychological security, brings security for the brain. But when it's deprived from all these, it tries to create some kind of an occupation in order, and it doesn't know, because you're not engaged in any plan to guide it to what to focus its thinking ability towards. So it goes all out and tries to figure out whatever is there, whether it's porn or whether it's some kind of a uninvited, unwelcomed train of thinking. It tries to create occupation and business through all kind of constant thinking process to bring that security. And how is that done? How could the brain create a continuous occupation to feel secure? Not by complimenting you, not by saying, oh, you're a handsome man and you love girls, because that's the end of conversation, because oh, thank you. But if it attacks you with something that you need to defend and you're sensitive about, then it creates a exchange and debate and argument, which is a continuous business and occupation in brain by thinking back and forth. Why? Because when it tells you something that you're not, let's say you're homosexual and it calls you heterosexual, just as a heterosexual doesn't like to be called homosexual, a homosexual person doesn't like to be called or suggested that he's a heterosexual. So the brain goes and calls you something that you're not. If you're heterosexual, it brings homosexual OCD, homosexual thoughts, because then it gets a rise out of you and you start defending yourself, start arguing and debating. How dare you say that? You get angry and you start going back and forth with the brain, which is actually mounted on your head, is part of your organs, and is a subordinate, is a tool for you, but you're now treating it as an entity that you're trying to convince of who you are to a organ of yours. It's like you're trying to convince your liver who you are, but it's the brain. And that's how you've been duped. So that conversation continues because it's negative towards you. And we don't like to be hit with something that is not true about us. So you continue a conversation with the brain, which is what the brain wants. And it cannot create that by something positive about you. It creates something that you are not, in order to create that conversation and conflict and back and forth and debate, to create that occupation and process of thinking to bring about mental security, because it doesn't find its security through physical environment, secure physical environment. It finds its security in occupation. How can it create occupation? By calling you something that it's going to piss you off and it's against what you are, it's unwanted and it's untrue. Then you rise and try to debate with it, and it has gone and done its what it wants to accomplish, which is creating that conversation, which creates business, occupation, which creates security for itself. OCD and HOCD and these things are part of that hope that the brain has. And you falling for it, well, then you're feeding it to be able to continue that. When you ignore it, then eventually it learns through neuroplasticity that this person is not going to, budge, and it's not going to bounce with that. And therefore, it learns that every time it brings these sort of thoughts, you ignore it, you not choose it, and then it starts not making it and subsides. And of course, with other techniques that psychologists, psychotherapists have, like ERP and so on, then it will also be very helpful to train it, retrain and rewire the brain through neuroplasticity, which is the way you treat and react to these thoughts. And then it gets back to what it's supposed and how it was programmed for you, for your gender, for your inclination, for who you are. And of course, it also goes hand in hand with the malfunction of the signaling system of the brain, which is in the basal ganglia area, in the striatum. There is a caudate nucleus, which is designed to shut down intrusive thoughts, as it is suggested by orbital prefrontal cortex. And when it realizes and knows about your values according to your preferences and your the value system, it shuts down the intrusive thoughts. But when it malfunctions, it doesn't do its job, and then it hovers there, stays there, and you, having been duped to think, oh, what shows up in my head and it doesn't go away, dissipates, then it must mean something. Then you fall into that shit and you go on and go nuts. Whew. All right. I think this sort of quality of discussions, you won't find it in too many other channels. So I hope that you guys will be able to remember the quality of discussions here and share the videos you like with your social media, or talk about it in chat lines, and promote this channel, as it's very helpful in its content, as you can see. And I hope that you all agree. All right. Amber Khan says, hello, joining in after a while in Wales, UK. Thank you for that. Female, and in my late 30s, hope you're well. Thank you very much, dear Amber, for the clear explanation, description, and your, introduction. I appreciate that. Very thorough. Arav S says, hi, sir. I am Arav, 20 years old, male from South India. Thank you for that, Arav. And Cap says, I'm an hour north of Seattle. Oh, north of Seattle. So what? We're talking about Everett? No. Or maybe Blaine? Are we there? Says, I don't know if you know where Marysville is, but by there. Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know Marysville, but if you're north of Seattle, that must be between Seattle and Canada border, which I guess I remember Everett, Blaine, Bellingham, but I guess I must have missed Marysville there somewhere. Arab says, I'm Arab from India, 20-year-old male. Thank you for that. Arab says, can OCD make you believe that you are having false attraction and false feeling and false desires and false emotions? Please help. Yes, definitely. That's what HOCD is. You just explained HOCD. Cap says, an analogy I like to use is you have soldiers protecting you, and your intrusive thoughts are the enemies, and they build a base in your head, and you have an all-out war. Well, but they don't base anything, because nothing is actual there. It's just an idea. So it's like you buy into an idea which doesn't exist, but you got to kind of open your eyes and focus on non-existence of the suggestion rather than giving actual character or existence to a suggestion that actually doesn't exist. So that's why it's a false belief. But the brain is very powerful to make you think that way. Cap says, in my case, they sent a small amount of soldiers and sent more and more every time. No, don't think that way, because you have the ultimate power. Your power of preference and choice, vetoes and choice, is how you live by, not by suggestions, ideas, images, or thoughts. Says, I'm 15 minutes from Everett. Oh, 15 minutes from Everett. Okay, then. Actually, more around 30. Okay, got it. Okay. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 19 minutes. We have discussed pretty much all the questions, and there is nothing more here that I will see. So perhaps it's time for me to end it for tonight, and we'll have another live stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. Vancouver time. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Vancouver time, which would be probably, I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. India time, and 8 or 9 o'clock in Europe, depending on where you are, 8, 9, or 10. And pretty much 4 o'clock in East Coast, and 6, 7 o'clock maybe in Australia. So We may get new guests as we every week hope we grow, and hopefully that this program was helpful to you in some way, one way or another. Again, don't forget to promote the channel as we need exposure. And with all the things that this channel offers, we hardly get to be seen, and people find us accidentally. And so I hope that you guys will think of this channel. If it's been helpful to you, don't be selfish. Introduce it to the others through your social media and chatting or talking about it in chat lines, and let others know about it. So the more we can reach, the more we can help. And Anonymous says, thank you, Miriam, for answering my question. You're quite welcome. In the meantime, guys, it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here and giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next live stream and hope you all will take good care of yourselves. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com is making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.